The person behind the online sale of COVID-19 vaccine slots has surrendered to authorities. MMDA Chairman Benhur Abalos believes that the case is now considered closed. Metro Manila's COVID numbers may be getting better, but the OCTA research group believes that we cannot downgrade to a more lenient quarantine status just yet. Quezon City is looking into another protocol breach, this time around by a local official. 3rd District Councilor Franz Pumaren was slapped with a show-cause order after holding a food drive in Barangay Old Balara. And it's an uphill climb for Gilas Pilipinas 3x3 as it attempts to make it to the Tokyo Olympics through the FIBA 3x3 Olympic Qualifying Tournament in Graz, Austria. And in lighter news, find out where to get the best view for tonight's super blood moon and total lunar eclipse. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Shawnee Al. The person behind the under-the-table sale of vaccine slots in Mandaluyong City has turned himself over to the police. Authorities say that he could face a number of charges, including the violation of the Bayanihan Law. Pat Mangune with the report.
Wala po akong connection sa LGU.
That is what 25-year-old Kyle Cedric Bonifacio had to say after coming forward to authorities on Wednesday. Bonifacio is said to be the person behind the vaccine slot for sale scheme in Mandaluyong City. His father, who serves as a barangay councilor, was the one who encouraged him to surrender.
Sabi niya, ma'am, pupunta ako sa inyo, iso-surrender ko yung anak ko sa iyo. So, maski yung magulang, actually nagulat nung dumating lang yung mga taga-CIDG sa kanila na iniimbestigahan kung kilala niyo ba tong Carl Bonifacio na to. Bago doon nagulat yung tatay na, yes, anak ko siya, bakit?
Bonifacio did not elaborate on what he did, but he admitted it was a scam and no actual vaccine was involved. He also emphasized to the authorities that his father has nothing to do with it.
Hindi po ako talaga nagbenta. At yung resibo po na yun ay kusang bigay po sa akin nung taong yun. Confident po ako na wala po akong kasalanan dito. At lumutang po talaga ako sa publiko para matapos na tong issue na to.
The suspect, who was turned over to the PNP CIDG, is set to give his official statement. Authorities said he may face charges in relation to estafa, bribery, and violation of the Bayanihan Act. His father, meanwhile, will be spared for now.
3 years na sila hindi nakikita ng tatay niya. Kailan lang and the father was so shocked, and the first thing he did was surrender his son. So you could just, mararamdaman yung pain and agony of a parent.
The Metro Manila Council will meet to discuss a unified ordinance against the illicit selling of vaccines.
Ang pag-uusapan lang po natin kung kailangan pa natin gumawa ng ordinance. Kasi meron tayong existing na batas eh. Meron tayong legislation na po dyan sa national.
COVID-19 vaccines are not yet commercially available as these have been approved for emergency use only. Patricia Mangune, we are One News.
In other news, the Isambayan Opposition Coalition will be launching an online platform to select its candidates for the 2022 national elections. Spokesman Attorney Howard Calleja is joining us on the phone to tell us more. Good afternoon, Attorney, or good evening, rather. How will this...
Good evening, Sean.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Attorney, how will this online platform work, and how much weight will it actually have in the actual selection process?
Sean, our selection would be based on a lot of, at least 4 data sets. This would be one of the data sets that would be taken into consideration. We will open this link, this portal, on June 12, as you already stated. But of course, as we open the portal, we will also explain that part of the data set are, for example, track record, honesty, integrity, character, and another one would be readiness to launch a credible national election. So all of this would be taken into consideration when we choose our candidate. However, this portal that we were opening is something that is new, and we will ask for the participation not only of the members of Isang Bayan, but also of the entire public. So we would like to show that Isang Bayan is really an inclusive coalition. We are not taking out anyone, but we are hoping that those that are really loving of the Filipino people and of the country, good governance, and the rule of law and the Constitution will participate in this process.
All right. Now, VP Robredo commented or said that the opposition must only field one candidate for the presidential race. How does this all tie in with a statement from the Vice President?
Yes, that is what Isang Bayan is trying to achieve to do. What we are working very hard as we establish our organization around the whole Philippines, and including our migrant workers and OFW, is really to present an alternative candidate to the Duterte administration, a single slate that will ensure unity for the Filipino people and a majority win for the candidate of the opposition.
All right. Now, on the other hand, we have Palace spokesman Roque saying that the opposition should instead field 1,000 bets. What do you have to say about that?
Are we still listening to spokesman Roque? or are we listening to his jokes still?
All right, attorney, let's change that question now. There's also talk that the president is open to running as vice president. Any reactions now to a possible Duterte tandem come next year?
That is their option. Any Filipino is within the qualifications under the Constitution is allowed to run. Whether it is legal for the president to slide down to vice president and run may be a legal question that would be settled before election. But whether he runs or not, I don't think it should deter the Isang Bayan and the opposition from fielding an alternative candidate, because we feel that the administration has revealed its weakness, its ineptness, incompetence, and I think once the opposition reveals its candidate and its competent and capable candidate, together with a solid platform for the development and recovery of the Philippines, I do not fear any candidate from the administration, but with our united front, I am confident that we will win, and we will win by a majority come May 9, 2022.
That's right. Now, a lot of campaigns, not in the Philippines perhaps, but in other countries, attorney, have been won on the premise or the platform of handling the pandemic a bit differently than their predecessors. How does Isang Bayan propose to do things differently, at least on the issue of handling the pandemic?
Yes, Sean, we have seen this pandemic has been handled very bad. We are not only a laggard in the international, in the regional standing, but we've really seen that this pandemic has been treated just to prop up the government rather than really to solve the pandemic for the people. What we in Isang Bayan will project or give to the people is a roadmap to recovery, not only for the pandemic, but a roadmap for an economic recovery. Because we have seen our economy fall. So I think both our health recovery and economic recovery will be addressed. And a roadmap will be given by the Isang Bayan Coalition.
All right, of late, of course, Attorney Calleja, it has not escaped anyone's notice that sovereignty issues are also coming to the fore. Does the opposition have a different stand? I mean, we have heard, of course, that there are different stands, at least on the issue of the West Philippine Sea when it comes to, the opposition. How will you guys proceed on this very sensitive topic?
So I think the Isang Bayan has been very clear. We have been trumpeting the protection and defense of our sovereignty and sovereign rights over the West Philippine Sea. Our chairman and lead convener, together with our two lead conveners, actually, Justice Tony Carpio and Ambassador Albert Del Rosario, have been in the forefront of really fighting for the territorial integrity and sovereign rights and sovereignty over the West Philippine Sea. So I think the candidates that we will espouse would have a strong conviction to really protect and promote the interest of the Filipino people, and not to puppet or speak the context of the Chinese people. So we feel it would be a Team Philippines against the Duterte Team Communist China.
All right, we appreciate the time you took to talk to us. Attorney Howard Calleja, spokesperson and convener of Isang Bayan Coalition. And back to COVID, we have the OCTA Research Group recommending retaining the general community quarantine status in the NCR Plus region. Despite the downtrend in COVID-19 cases, Professor Guido David believes that it's not yet time to further ease quarantine restrictions across the region. Daily cases in Metro Manila has averaged at around 1,100 in the last week. That's about 80% lower than when cases peaked back in April.
While we believe that we can relax restrictions, we think that we should try to retain the GCQ at this time because the cases are still significant. It also gives us the wrong messaging to the people, and as we mentioned earlier, we want to avoid situations wherein people become very complacent because they feel that the situation has improved significantly, that there are no more cases.
OCTA Research Fellow Father Nicanor Austriaco says the NCR Plus 8 could reach COVID-19 containment by October if we get to vaccinate 40 to 50% of the people in the region. However, Austriaco stresses that containment is different from herd immunity.
For containment is that at the rate of 250,000 doses per day, the NCR Plus 8 will achieve containment of COVID-19 sometime in October. What does this mean? That means that the risk for a surge is substantially diminished as we approach containment. The head of the snake, and if we cut off the head, then it's the head that is feeding the surges nationally.
And in the Visayas, Iloilo City has started implementing stricter border controls as it continues to grapple with a spike in COVID-19 infections. The LGU is also appealing for additional manpower and hospital resources. Jenny Dongon joins us from Iloilo to tell us more. Hi, Jenny. What's the situation like over there?
Sean, about 300 policemen have arrived here in Iloilo City to help man 9 entry and exit points amid the surge of cases here in Iloilo City. People with no essential business in the city were not allowed to enter in a bid to control movement and manage the spread of the virus. Passengers of both private and public vehicles are required to show travel documents and IDs to prove that they are essential workers. Meanwhile, Mayor Jared Tranya said COVID-19 wards in all the city's 11 hospitals are now fully occupied. More than 60 more COVID-19 patients are on the waiting list. The vaccine rollout has also been halted due to the lack of supplies. With this, the city is asking the IATF for more beds as well as ventilators and COVID-19 vaccines. The city reported 1,018 cases this month, way more than the 300 to 400 average from the past few months. The mayor is appealing to nearby towns not to bring their patients to the city due to the lack of space. Let's listen to what Iloilo City PNP spokesperson Sheila Sangrines had to say.
Worst to worst, sa talagang pasaway, talagang mag-i-insist na magba-violate ng MECQ guidelines natin, well, mandated po tayo to enforce the law. So, nakahanda po yung mga detention facility natin. Wala tayong magagawa kundi i-charge sila for disobedience or probably kung may iba pa silang naging akto doon, non-cooperation, no? So, talagang hindi rin kami mag-aatotibiling mag-file ng kaso sa kanila.
Sean Mayor Trañas is hoping for an immediate boost in their healthcare system, manpower, and hospital resources from the Department of Health. Sean.
Thank you for that update and stay safe there in Iloilo City. That was News 5's Jenny Dongon. Let's move on to other stories we're keeping our eyes on. Quezon City has issued a show-cause order against 3rd District Councilor Franz Pumaren for allegedly violating health protocols during its recent food distribution campaign in Barangay Old Balara. The QCLGU has instructed its epidemiology and surveillance unit to conduct COVID-19 testing among the attendees. The city legal department is also investigating the reports and will file appropriate cases as needed. And a student pilot died when his plane crashed on the coast of Barangay Urayong Bayan in Bauang, La Union. According to the CAAP, the 25-year-old pilot or student pilot was conducting a solo cross-country flight when the trainer plane crashed. The Philippine National Police said they recovered the pilot's body in the area and it was declared dead at the Caba Municipal Health Office. For its part, the Philippine Coast Guard is retrieving the aircraft's debris, which sunk around 300 meters away from the shoreline. And Philippine Airlines has joined calls for a green lane policy that will allow fully vaccinated foreign travelers to enter the country. PAL President and COO Gilbert Santamaria said this will jumpstart the aviation and tourism industries, which in turn will support jobs and the economy. Gilas Pilipinas' 3x3 team is locked in for a tall order against world-class foes in the FIBA 3x3 Olympic Qualifiers in Graz, Austria. The team is set to play number 11 Qatar and 4th-seeded Slovenia later tonight. The 14th-seeded Gilas will need a top 2 finish in Pool C in order to qualify for the quarterfinals. In a statement, the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas said that Leonard Santillan replaced Alvin Pasaol, who is not yet in game shape. Also part of the Philippine squad are Joshua Monzon, CJ Perez, and Mo Tautua. And the super flower blood moon lit up the night skies in different parts of the world. In Greece, the flower moon appeared larger than life over the ruins of ancient Corinth. The super flower moon was also seen in Australia, Turkey, and the United States. Meanwhile, Filipinos are in for a treat as both the super blood moon and the total lunar eclipse will be visible in the Philippine skies tonight. Pag-asa explains that the moon will be brighter and larger than the normal full moon, thus it is called the supermoon. It will also have a red tint because of the lunar eclipse. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Shawnee Yao. We are One News.